William Tecumseh Sherman and his march to the sea. Sherman was born in 1820 in Lancaster, Ohio. His father died and left his mother with 11 children and no inheritance. Following this tragedy, the 9-year-old Sherman was raised by a Lancaster neighbor and family friend, attorney Thomas Ewing, a prominent member of the Whig Party who served as a senator from Ohio as the first Secretary of the Interior.
Upon graduation in 1840, Sherman entered the Army as a second lieutenant in the 3rd U.S. Artillery and saw action in Florida in the Second Seminole War. He was later stationed in Georgia and South Carolina. Sherman would become one of the relatively few high-ranking officers in the Civil War who had not fought in Mexico. The 300-mile march began on November 15, 1864. Sherman's personal escort on the march was the 1st Alabama Cavalry Regiment, a unit made up entirely of Southerners who remained loyal to the Union. Confederates could not tell from the initial movements where Sherman was marching to. His march on the land began with his army numbering nearly 100,000 men to meet a Confederate force of roughly 55,000 men. Sherman began a series of successful flanking movements.
When he flanked the Confederates at Dalton, they fell back to Resca Station on the Centennial River, on the line of the railway between Chattanooga and Atlanta. Atlanta was captured by Sherman, who entered September 2, 1864. Late in October, Sherman prepared for a march through Georgia from Atlanta to Savannah. Enforcing his total war approach, Sherman sent for a group of men to build a railroad station in Atlanta. He went on to take apart railroads and bridges, only leaving churches and courthouses standing. On November 11th, Sherman cut the telegraph wires that connected Atlanta with Washington, and his army became an isolated column in the heart of the enemy's country. General P.G.T. Beauregard was sent to try and stop Sherman in his tracks, told the other generals to destroy all the roads in Sherman's front, flank, and rear, and be trustful in Providence, but Sherman was not affected by this attempt and kept marching.
There was some slight skirmishing, but no Confederates in force were seen until 15 miles outside of Savannah. All roads leading into the city were obstructed by felled trees, earthworks, and artillery. They had broken communication so that no supplies could reach Savannah. Sherman sought to make Oak Gate and have no supply. Fort McAllister near the mouth of the Oak Gate was in the way. Fort McAllister was not designed for land defense, and although never surrendered, the fort was finally taken by Sherman by land at the rear in an attack that lasted less than 15 minutes on December 13, 1864. That laid the way to Savannah wide open, and on Christmas Eve, Sherman telegraphed to President Lincoln,
"I beg to present you as a Christmas gift the city of Savannah with 150 heavy guns and plenty of ammunition, and also about 25,000 bales of cotton."
Lincoln wrote back to Sherman about his Christmas gift, saying, "Many, many thanks for your Christmas gift, the capture of Savannah. When you were leaving Atlanta for the Atlantic coast, I was anxious, if not fearful. But feeling that you were better judge and remembering that nothing risked and nothing gained, I did not interfere. Now, the undertaking being a success, the honor is all yours, for I believe none of us went farther than to acquiesce." From Savannah, Sherman marched north through the Carolinas, intending to complete his turning movement and combine his armies with Grant's against Robert E. Lee. After a successful 2-month campaign, General Joseph E. Johnston surrendered his forces to Sherman in North Carolina on April 26, 1865.
The march to the sea was devastating to Georgia and the Confederacy. Sherman himself estimated that the campaign had inflicted $100 million worth of damage and destruction, about 1/5 of which injured to our advantage, while the remainder is simply a waste and destruction. The army wrecked 300 miles of railroad and numerous bridges and miles of telegraph lines. It seized 5,000 horses, 4,000 mules, 13,000 head of cattle, and confiscated 9.5 million pounds of corn, 10.5 million pounds of fodder, destroyed uncounted cotton gins and mules. Sherman and his men were key to the victory that Union would soon accomplish.